Marriage, a word that evokes images of love, commitment, and a shared future. But for millions around the world, marriage is a cage, a prison built with the bricks of coercion and the bars of control. This is the stark reality of forced marriage, a human rights violation that robs individuals, particularly young girls, of their autonomy and dignity. Forced marriage is not a union of love, it's a union of force. It's a marriage where one or both individuals are married without their full and free consent. Imagine being told who you'll spend your life with, stripped of the right to choose your own partner, your own destiny. This is the grim reality for countless individuals forced into marriage. The absence of consent is the very heart of this issue. Consent in marriage, as in all aspects of life, is non-negotiable. It must be given freely without any form of pressure, coercion, or fear of repercussions. Sadly, in cases of forced marriage, this fundamental right is brutally violated. The weight of tradition, the burden of poverty, or the fear of social stigma often become the invisible shackles that bind individuals to this practice. But let us be clear, no reason, no circumstance can ever justify the act of forcing another human being into marriage. Forced marriage, a practice steeped in power imbalances and control, has sadly cast a long shadow across human history. Its roots are complex and intertwined with cultural, social, and economic factors that have been passed down through generations. Ancient civilizations, often driven by the desire to secure alliances, consolidate power, or control inheritance, practiced forced marriage as a norm. Royal families, for instance, would often force their children into marriages with members of other kingdoms to strengthen their political influence or avoid wars. Over time, this practice seeped into various cultures, often becoming intertwined with religious beliefs and societal norms. In some societies, forced marriage was seen as a way to protect the purity of women or to ensure their economic security by marrying them off to families with resources. While the historical context may offer some explanation, it can never excuse the practice. Understanding the historical roots of forced marriage is crucial to dismantling the deeply ingrained beliefs and systems that continue to perpetuate this harmful tradition. Forced marriage is a complex issue with a tapestry of causes woven into its fabric. Poverty, lack of education, and deeply ingrained cultural practices are some of the threads that contribute to its persistence. In many societies, poverty acts as a driving force, pushing families to marry off their daughters at a young age as a way to reduce their economic burden. A young girl becomes an economic commodity, exchanged for a dowry or a promise of financial stability, her childhood dreams sacrificed on the altar of survival. Lack of education, particularly for girls, further exacerbates their vulnerability to forced marriage. Denied the opportunity to learn, to develop their independence, they become easier targets for control and manipulation. Cultural practices and beliefs, often rooted in patriarchal norms that view women as subordinate to men, also play a significant role. A woman's worth is still largely determined by her marital status, and marrying her off young, regardless of her consent, is seen as a way to protect her family's honor. Imagine a bud, ready to blossom into a flower, forcibly plucked from its stem and left to wither. This is the tragic reality for countless girls robbed of their childhoods and futures due to forced marriage. Their education often comes to an abrupt end, their dreams replaced with household chores and the immense pressure of bearing and raising children before they are physically or emotionally ready. The physical and mental toll this takes is immeasurable. Forced marriage often exposes girls to a higher risk of domestic violence and sexual abuse. Trapped in a union devoid of love and respect, they become victims of power dynamics, their voices silenced by fear and societal pressures that discourage them from seeking help. The psychological trauma inflicted is profound. Depression, anxiety, and post-traumatic stress disorder are just a few of the mental health challenges these girls often face. Their childhood stolen, their spirits crushed, they are left to navigate the complexities of adulthood with their wings clipped, their voices silenced. Section 5. Ripples of Pain, Forced Marriage, and its Scars on Society. Forced marriage is not just a personal tragedy, it's a societal cancer, its tentacles reaching out to poison the very fabric of our communities. It perpetuates a cycle of poverty, undermines development, and reinforces gender inequality, leaving deep scars on the social and economic landscape. When girls are forced into marriage, their education is often cut short, depriving them of the opportunity to contribute their skills and talents to the workforce. This loss of potential human capital has a ripple effect on economic growth and development, holding back entire nations. The health consequences are equally alarming. Forced marriage often leads to early and multiple pregnancies, increasing the risk of maternal and infant mortality. Young girls are not physically or emotionally prepared for motherhood, and their health often suffers as a result. Furthermore, forced marriage undermines the very foundation of a just and equitable society. It normalizes the subjugation of women, reinforces harmful gender roles, and perpetuates a culture of silence and acceptance that allows this practice to continue unabated. Section 6. Breaking the chains, confronting the reality of forced marriage. The fight against forced marriage is a fight for human rights, for equality, and for the future of millions around the world. It's a fight we cannot afford to lose. But to win this fight, we must first confront the uncomfortable reality of this practice. We must shatter the silence that surrounds forced marriage. Open and honest conversations, free from shame and stigma, are crucial to raising awareness and challenging the deeply ingrained beliefs that perpetuate this harmful tradition. Education is our most powerful weapon. By empowering girls with knowledge, we equip them with the tools to make informed choices about their lives and futures. Educated girls are more likely to resist forced marriage, delay marriage, and pursue their dreams. Laws and policies that protect individuals from forced marriage are essential, but they must be coupled with strong enforcement mechanisms. Governments must allocate resources to implement these laws, train law enforcement officials, and ensure that victims have access to justice and support. Section 7. A Ray of Hope, empowering change and providing support. While the fight against forced marriage is a daunting one, there are glimmers of hope emerging from the shadows. Across the globe, individuals, communities, and organizations are rising up to challenge this harmful practice, offering a lifeline to those trapped in its grasp. Support services for victims of forced marriage are crucial. Shelters, hotlines, and counseling services provide a safe haven for those fleeing forced marriages, offering them protection, support, and a chance to rebuild their lives. Economic empowerment programs that provide women and girls with vocational skills and access to financial resources are also essential. By equipping them with the tools to become financially independent, we empower them to break free from the cycle of poverty that often fuels forced marriage. Community engagement is also key. Religious leaders, community elders, and families must be engaged in efforts to change attitudes and behaviors towards forced marriage. By working together, we can create a culture that values the rights and well-being of all individuals. Section 8. Global efforts, joining hands to eradicate forced marriage. The fight against forced marriage is a global one, requiring a united front and a shared commitment to ending this harmful practice. International organizations, governments, and civil society must work together to create a world where every individual has the right to choose their own partner and their own destiny. The United Nations, through its various agencies and initiatives, has played a crucial role in raising awareness about forced marriage, advocating for legal reforms, and supporting programs that empower girls and women. Many countries have enacted laws that criminalize forced marriage and provide legal protections for victims. These laws, often developed in collaboration with civil society organizations, are crucial steps in the right direction. International cooperation is essential to address the cross-border nature of forced marriage. Sharing best practices, coordinating law enforcement efforts, and providing mutual legal assistance are crucial to tackling this global issue. Section 9. Towards a Brighter Future. A call for collective action. Forced marriage is a complex issue, but it's not an insurmountable one. By working together, we can create a world where every individual has the right to choose whom they marry, free from coercion and fear. Let us raise our voices in unison to break the silence that surrounds forced marriage. Let us educate our communities, challenge harmful cultural norms, and empower girls and women with the knowledge and skills to make their own choices. Let us support organizations working tirelessly on the front lines to provide assistance to victims, advocate for legal reforms, and create a world where the chains of forced marriage are broken for good. Every voice raised, every action taken brings us one step closer to a brighter future. A future where love, not coercion, forms the foundation of every marriage.